Namaste, Jai Bharat. There's commonly a possible confusion between nationalism, extremism, and even terrorism. People normally, or at least in common perception, they mix up all these concepts, and many times one is unable to distinguish between what is what and what is not. Let's speak about nationalism. I make a distinction between two kinds of nationalism. One is nationalism genuine, which I call, and another one is nationalism spurious. And of course, one more nationalism comes to my mind is aggressive kind of nationalism. Let me take this aggressive nationalism first. The archetype example to aggressive nationalism is what we find in Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf is the autobiography of Hitler, Adolf Hitler. And right in the beginning, Hitler mentions very explicitly that when the people of my society, which means nation, are hungry and need of food, with the might of sword, I'll take the land of my neighbor for the sake of my people's survival or subsistence, whatever it is. This because this is the situation where he is not bothered of others. He is primarily concerned about his people himself. There is a story in ancient Bharat about Mahabali. Now, Mahabali was supposed to be the most well-paid king. Mahabali is from Bharuch district of Gujarat, son of Purojana, grandson of Prahlada, great-grandson of Hiranyakashipu. That's his lineage. He is supposed to be, or he is seen and understood to be as one of the most well-paid king. But then he was punished. He was sent down to the Patal Loka. Whatever may be the story, he has one drawback. The drawback which Hitler mentions in his Mein Kampf, that he doesn't bother about other people, he bothers about his subjects. The thing is that the welfare of his subjects are at the cost of anyone else. He doesn't care about others. He doesn't make an understanding of a human being as a human being or an individual as an individual. For him, as far as he is concerned, he is very narrow. He is concerned about only his subjects, direct subjects, and that's it. This, of course, is evidently, in the long run, it comes out to be manifesting as nepotism. That, of course, we call aggressive nationalism. Another one is spurious nationalism. You see, someone or some section of people or some agencies or some leaders keep feeding you stories about your nation, stories about your society, the glory of the kind of something which you're supposed to be having, which actually may be not the case, but the fantasized or imaginary stories of all kinds of greatness which is not smooth on imagination. There's an example here of one person known as Abdul Halim Sharar, who lived in pre-independent Bharat. He wrote 40 plus novels. Fictions, explicitly fictions, but the real Mughal characters. See, it's fiction, but the characters were real, genuine, picked up from history. The Mughals. And of course, he glorified the Mughals through his novels. It is not history, it's only fiction, but then the characters which he presented used to be from history, some Mughal kings, etc., and their nobility, their glory, and all kinds of things, which really is not the case. Even hardly any Mughals noble, even hardly any Mughals educated, scholarly. All these things are there, though not explicitly discussed in history. That's another kind of nationalism. Now, the primary kind, or the first kind of nationalism which I was trying to address, is that we have definite knowledge about what we are, and there are genuinely reasons to be proud of, not to be egoistic about it. There are genuine reasons to be happy with, proud of the qualities or many aspects that which are noble, which are positive in your nationhood. When you build a national feelings, a nationalistic concept upon these real ground realities, then that becomes genuine nationalism, which is fundamentally based on self-respect. Self-respect of yourselves and self-respect of the qualities you possess and the self-respect of the kind of qualities, history, knowledge, tradition, everything which your nation, society possesses. This is the fundamental kind of positive or genuine nationalism. Now, when your nationalism is spurious, which turns to be aggressive, it promotes terrorism, can promote terrorism, can promote spurious or false consciousness that you start looking down upon the other, which you are not, the other as inferior somewhere. This, of course, we have seen in the past at least many European societies doing to non-Europeans as they being something high, superior, and others are being somewhere lower or inferior. Now, this is kind of spurious situation, spurious nationalism. I don't know what you can call it as nationalism or not. And out of that, they became aggressive and went around the world with the aggressive attitude. You look at what's happening in Canada today. The Canadians were making a distinction between those who migrated to Canada a generation before or so, and they themselves. I've seen a video clip that an Indian is asked by a Canadian elderly lady to go back. Then that boy is replying, or that gentleman is replying, that I'm a Canadian citizen. She says, maybe, but your parents came from India, so go back to India. Now, this very woman who is speaking is not originally Canadian. Maybe not her immediate parents, maybe not her immediate grandparents, but her ancestors also are bloody immigrants in that sense of the term. They have forced themselves into Canada, Newfoundland, with weapons for aggression and destroyed the Aborigines of Canada. What happened to the Indians? Not Indians like us, the Red Indians. What happened to the Red Indians? What happened to the Aborigines of Canada? Are they not supposed to be the original inhabitants of Canada? So multiple standards. You tell an Indian that you are an Indian, go back, and look who is speaking. The Indian has gone there maybe a generation before, only his parents gone there, he's born there. But this woman, her generations before, her ancestors came from some other land, which she may be not very clear about. You may say, we come from UK, we come from somewhere else. But which village, their relations, nothing. They have lost that also, and here they can't be because they have ousted the Aborigines of those people. So this kind of attitude, this of course, this kind of nationalism is partial, spurious, and can turn into aggressions, and on the basis of that, there could be people weaving out terrorist outfits and sending them outside. Of course, when people turn this thing into terrorism, it's always with vested interest of a person or some people or a group of people. And these terrorists are always instruments at the hands of some vested people, and these vested people have got very clear objectives, ultimate, ulterior motives, where these people are innocently, I can't say whether they're innocent, through self-deceptions they think they are doing a great job, and they act as terrorism, and then they destroy their own lives. So that nationalism is brought forward to act as per the whims and fancies of such people when it turns into some kind of terroristic activities, which is not the case in cases of Bharat and some other nations also, where it's genuine. We are only concerned with ourselves. We don't have, there is no history in the back. For thousands of years of history, when you look back at Bharat, we have not attacked any of our neighbors for the sake of lust, for the sake of greed of their land. There were always battles of principle, which is there in history, I need not to tell you. So, with us, nationalism is genuine. It's based on our genuine pride of being ourselves and our tradition, our Sanskriti. So we'll meet again with some other thoughts at some other time. Till then, Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.